you feel like you're caught in a bewildering maze, endlessly navigating policy and rules that make no sense, struggling against invisible forces you can't name? That constant hum of low-level unhappiness, the feeling that something's just off. Working your 9-to-5 job, earning a wage. You may want to buy a new phone or a car. So you show up to the work. You believe you're buying freedom, yet what you're actually acquiring is deeper, more pervasive alienation. You blame yourself, modern stress, or you just say to yourself that this is how life is. But that's the first lie. Most people blame themselves or external circumstances. But that's a convenient distraction from the real reason. The shocking truth about your unhappiness isn't a personal flaw. It's a profound, Kafkaesque trap, a system meticulously designed to alienate you, to strip away your time, your true desires, and slowly, silently, turn your soul into that of an industrial robot. This isn't an accident. Your persistent unfulfillment is an intended feature of a world that thrives on keeping you just productive enough and just unhappy enough to keep playing. For decades, perhaps your entire life, you've been chasing something just out of reach. You've been told if you just work harder, achieve more, climb higher, or get that one thing, you'll finally find peace, fulfillment, and freedom. You believed it because that's the story society sells you every single day. But for many, the harder they chase, the emptier they feel. The more boxes they check, the more disconnected they become from their authentic selves. This isn't a glitch in the system, it's the system itself. The Kafkaesque trap isn't merely a frustrating bureaucratic labyrinth, though that's part of its everyday manifestation, as described by Franz Kafka, particularly in works like The Metamorphosis and The Trial. It embodies a profound sense of disorientation, powerlessness, and absurdity when an individual is confronted by a vast, incomprehensible, and often oppressive system. Imagine Gregor Samsa, the protagonist of Kafka's The Metamorphosis. He wakes one morning inexplicably transformed into a monstrous vermin. His immediate concern isn't his horrifying physical state, but whether he can get to work on time. This singular, absurd detail encapsulates the trap. His existence has been so reduced to his professional responsibilities that even in a state of utter dehumanization, his primary anxiety remains his utility to the system. He is a creature of a functionalistic professional life. His gradual emaciation and self-reduction, as he isolates himself and eventually starves to death, is an unconscious compliance with his family's wish to be rid of him, showing profound self-denial and disregard for his own reality. He struggles against invisible forces he can't name. This is the very essence of the Kafkaesque trap. You feel in modern society, unclear rules and unseen authority. You are navigating a maze where the rules make no sense, struggling against invisible forces you can't name. You feel judged, but the criteria for judgment are opaque, arbitrary, and constantly shifting. Dehumanization. Your value becomes defined by your function, your productivity, rather than your inherent worth or true desires. Like Gregor Samsa, your soul can be slowly, silently, turned into that of an industrial robot. Pointless struggle. Efforts to succeed or find meaning within this system often lead to disorientation and illogical outcomes, making success feel pointless. When caught in this trap, you often blame yourself or external circumstances like modern stress. Convinced that this is how life is. This self-blame is a convenient distraction, keeping you from seeing the deeper, systemic issue. It reinforces the isolating effects of being different. This persistent unfulfillment, the nagging sense that something is off, is not an accident or a personal flaw. It is an intended feature. This system thrives on keeping you just productive enough and just unhappy enough to keep playing. Why? Because the modern world isn't designed to fulfill you. It's designed to keep you needing. The moment you stop craving, you stop consuming, and that is a threat to the entire machine. This profound deception is woven into the very fabric of our lives, from childhood to retirement, manifesting in various societal myths. From the moment you entered school, the script was clear. Study hard, get a job, work for 40 years, retire. Education, the very institution meant to expand your mind, was never designed to help you understand yourself. It was created to make you useful, to train you to serve a system, not to help you become a conscious, self-aware individual. Modern education's origins are rooted in the industrial age, when governments and factories needed disciplined, predictable workers. Schools were modeled accordingly. Bells, rows, schedules like factory shifts, rewards for compliance, penalties for deviation. Creativity became secondary, conformity became sacred. Suppressed curiosity. You were taught to remember, not to understand, to conform, not to question, to meet expectations, not to explore your inner world. Your natural curiosity, the desire to ask, why, was quietly flattened. Asking too many questions made you disruptive. Praise for obedience. You were praised for being a good student, not because you thought for yourself, but because you didn't make trouble. As a famous scholar once said, real education means awakening the capacity to think for oneself. But thinking for yourself is not convenient for a system built on conformity. The cost of productivity. This focus on productivity and performance leaves you well equipped to play a role, but unequipped to know if that role is even yours. You may succeed in society's eyes, but feel like a stranger in your own life, emotionally underdeveloped or disconnected from your core self, because you were never taught to explore it. The tragedy is not that you learned facts. It's that we stopped asking what they meant. You were programmed to believe, to adopt a script about what's valuable and respectable, without conscious choice. This conditioning leads to a fear of being different, a constant need to fit in, and a self-worth tied to external validation. Modern society has turned success into a performance, a spectacle. It's no longer something quietly built through purpose, but something you broadcast, wrapped in filters and humble brags. Success today looks like private jets, Rolex watches, and 10,000 masterminds, and TikTok-ready lifestyles. Society's definition of success is a moving target. You hit one goal, and it shifts. You buy the car. Now you need the house. You hit 6 figures. Now you need 7. This endless pursuit is like pouring water into a cup with a hole in the bottom. No matter how much you pour, it's never full. This definition of success is not built to satisfy you. It's built to sell to you. It keeps you running, performing, comparing, turning your life into a scoreboard where if you're not winning, you're playing not to lose. This isn't freedom. That's a prison in disguise. Most people are chasing approval and validation. That brief high that comes when someone sees you and says you made it. This high quickly wears off, demanding a bigger hit next time, much like a drug. Psychologist Erich Fromm warned of this shift from a culture of being to a culture of having. We ask, what do I own? What do I earn? What does my lifestyle say about me? Instead of, who am I? Carl Jung's concept of the persona is the mask we wear to survive in society. The polished image, the likable version of you that plays along to avoid rejection. The more success you build on this mask, the more disconnected you become from your true self. Behind the persona lies the shadow, everything you were told not to be. Your anger, fear, ambition. Ignoring this shadow leads to feeling lost, even in moments of apparent triumph. The truth is, if your idea of success requires someone else to approve of it, you don't own it. The pursuit of external recognition, though seemingly harmless, becomes a drug, fueling a constant need for applause that never truly satisfies. Society tells you freedom would come at 65, a reward at the end of a long, obedient life. But this promise is often a carefully crafted illusion to keep you moving, producing, complying, without ever questioning the cost. The concept of retirement dates back to 1889, introduced by German Chancellor Otto von Bismarck, not as a gift to workers, but as a way to remove the elderly from the workforce and make room for younger, more efficient labor. It was an economic policy disguised as compassion. Many retirees feel disoriented, not due to lack of money, but because they ran out of identity. The system prepared them to function within a machine, not to live beyond it. When the role ends and the spotlight fades, they are left with an existential crisis. You don't retire from the system. You retire into another system, one designed to profit from your remaining years. The business of retirement freedom sells you peace and leisure, but it's a product, and the product is you. It's about selling you comfort because they know you're afraid of chaos. Alan Watts famously stated, "The desire for security and the feeling of insecurity are the same thing. To hold your breath is to lose your breath. The more you chase stability, the more fragile you become, because true freedom isn't a managed retirement account. It's the ability to see through the illusion of control." The lie was never just about retirement. It was that you ever had to earn your freedom. You were taught that hard work leads to reward, that effort equals outcome, that if you just grind long enough, the system will eventually notice, recognize, and repay you. But this formula is often broken, perhaps never real to begin with. Friedrich Nietzsche, the philosopher who challenged conventional morality, argued that moral labor, work glorified for its sacrifice, obedience, and humility, is not noble, but a form of spiritual slavery, a psychological trap designed not to uplift you but to keep you in place. In a world where power determines outcomes, morality is often used to control those who have none. The system rewards value you control, not the value you create or the virtue you embody. This is why the nurse pulling a 12-hour shift gets paid less than the TikToker selling a get-rich-fast course. Nietzsche distinguished between master morality, born from strength, celebrating ambition and creativity, and slave morality, born from weakness. Slave morality redefines weakness as virtue, glorifying humility, obedience, and suffering as signs of moral purity. This moral code, once spread, becomes sacred and untouchable, preventing people from questioning the hierarchy. Psychologists call the belief that the world is inherently fair, that effort equals outcome, the just world fallacy. This comforting idea, while giving hope, is dangerous in a system designed to reward power over principle. While you work diligently, others are learning how to play the board, building alliances, and understanding leverage. The system uses your belief in fairness to keep you locked in place. The lie persists because it benefits those in charge, keeping people striving, hoping, and working for a reward that never comes. The promise of someday is the most effective chain ever forged. This journey isn't about blaming individuals, it's about exposing the blueprint. The profound unhappiness, the sense of being caught in a maze, the pervasive alienation. These are not personal failures, but symptoms of a meticulously designed system. Once you recognize the programming, something inside you shifts. You begin to understand that the real work ahead isn't about fixing yourself, but about reclaiming yourself. It's not about becoming someone new, but remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. This is the climax of your understanding, the moment you truly see the invisible chains. The chains are not physical. They are the inherited beliefs, the societal expectations, the unconscious programming that equate obedience with intelligence, routine with safety, and productivity with worth. The man who needs nothing. Society's greatest threat. Consider the concept of the man who needs nothing. A figure whose quiet completeness radiates a presence that says, "I don't need anything from you." This individual is society's greatest threat, not because he seeks to take power, but because he doesn't need it. He is no longer bound by the same invisible chains. Society thrives on keeping you needing, selling you solutions to manufactured deficiencies. But when you need nothing, no one can dangle bait in front of you, no promise can seduce you, no threat can scare you. You become ungovernable. Every system, political, corporate, cultural, is built on the assumption that people can be manipulated through their desires and fears. The man who needs nothing breaks this equation. He is immune. This internal completeness is achieved through Jung's process of individuation, becoming who you truly are, not who the world told you to be. It involves confronting the persona, the social mask, and wrestling with the shadow, the repressed parts of yourself. By integrating these aspects, one becomes whole. This man doesn't crave approval, was not terrified of rejection, and is not driven by the unconscious need to belong. He is rooted, following truth, not trends. From Machiavelli's perspective, rulers control populations through fear and hope. But what happens when a man no longer fears and stops hoping for something outside himself? That man is Machiavelli's nightmare. He cannot be bought with status or silenced with exile, because he needs nothing from the system. His refusal to play the game speaks louder than any protest, showing others that there's another way to live. This needlessness is resistance. It's not loud or confrontational, but real, subversive, revolutionary. The individual who realizes they don't need society to be whole becomes a glitch in the system, not useful to algorithms, not profitable to markets, not loyal to political promises. This self-sufficiency, built on psychological independence, moral integrity, intellectual questioning, and an unyielding will, makes one untouchable by a world built on control and fear. This understanding that your unhappiness is a systemic feature and that inner completeness is the ultimate freedom is the true turning point. Once you understand the real deception, once you see the invisible chains, you can finally begin to unlearn what was imposed. This is the path to reclaiming the time, the purpose, and the freedom life was actually meant to offer. This is where the narrative shifts from problem to solution, from diagnosis to action. It's not about grand gestures, but a quiet, revolutionary return to yourself. The first step is to question the unquestioned. Ask, where did this belief come from? Who benefits from it? And does it still serve me? This allows you to dismantle the invisible cage of conditioning. You learn to be comfortable with stillness, uncertainty, and anything that doesn't come with external validation. Stop defining your worth by how well you perform or how much you achieve. Instead, redefine who you are, not by what you do, not by the role you play, but by what you value, what lights you up, what feels real when everything else falls quiet. This is about building a life that aligns with your deepest values, not the values handed to you by a system designed to keep you docile. Life is not a destination. There is no grand finale, no perfect moment. It is happening right now, in the chaos, in the quiet, in the uncertainty. Alan Watts famously said, "This is the real secret of life, to be completely engaged with the now." Your ability to return to the present moment is an act of rebellion in a world constantly pulling you toward later or someday. You don't have to earn your existence. You don't need permission to feel joy. Abandoning the lie of moral labor doesn't mean becoming ruthless. It means understanding that kindness is not weakness, but strategic kindness, that's strength. It involves being conscious, knowing when to help and when to walk away, understanding context, and setting boundaries. You learn to say no when it doesn't align with your goals or values, recognizing that leaving is not failure. Sometimes it's the beginning of freedom. Power isn't about dominating others. It's about claiming power over yourself, your direction, your destiny. This might involve starting your own business, building a secondary income stream, or learning how influence works, not to deceive, but to defend your vision. It's about becoming the author of your own worth, not just a servant of the system. The future belongs to those who merge principle with power, empathy with edge, not those who wait for the world to change, but the ones who learn to change the terms of their own existence. The journey of individuation ultimately leads to meeting the self, the totality of who you are, conscious and unconscious united, light and shadow in harmony. Once this state is reached, you are no longer reactive to the world because you are not defined by it. You don't need to be accepted. You already are, by yourself. This profound internal shift allows you to create a new schedule that honors more than just deadlines, to make time for purposeful silence where nothing needs to be achieved, solved, or improved. It allows you to choose depth over novelty in connections, seeking people who see you for who you truly are, not just the roles you play. In the end, real education is not preparation for life. It is life itself. It happens when you begin living as yourself, not as a role or a product of others' expectations. The greatest lesson is that you were never meant to just fit in. You were meant to wake up, to unlearn, to return to yourself. This world doesn't need more obedient men. It needs more whole men. Men who can't be bribed, bullied, or manipulated. Men who are free, not because they retired from work, but because they awakened to life itself. You don't have to keep running. You already matter. Now, act like it. If this deep dive into the hidden systems shaping our lives resonated with you, I encourage you to subscribe to the channel. By doing so, you'll join a community of thinkers committed to exploring these crucial truths and reclaiming genuine freedom. And if you're ready to take the next step in unlearning the programming and redefining your path, consider watching this video next, where we explore how to cultivate true inner independence in a world built on dependence.